Well, Pete, I know we've got a big game with Cal. That's the University of California, folks, playing the University of Miami. The U, as J.C. Peretz would say. So we had a little shot that we thought we'd share with you, folks. Cal, being California, of course, is woke, and I guess the other guys like beverages, Pete?
Is that what that is?
Is that what that is?
There's always creative people out there, and you've just got to love the creativity and the fun. And I truly don't think that anybody means harm by these things. I think it's just in fun, just throwing it out there. So that's my take on that one. But why don't we start, John, first with the pro game? And I say that because we talk about this all the time. We talk about receivers, and we look at this, and I'm the guy who said, look, do you really got to give JJ, Jets, as he likes to call himself now, is he the best receiver in football? Absolutely he is. But is it by a huge margin? I would say absolutely not. I think he's great. He's the best there is right now in the game. But there are so many receivers out there, John, that you're going to pay certain guys that are going to get $40 million a year, $35, $40 million a year as a receiver, or you've got other guys getting a heck of a lot less. Well, it's one of those things where I think you just have to take a look. And I see the name up there on the plaque. We're looking at Davante Adams, right? Well, the Raiders came out and said, you know what? I know we haven't said this before, but we would be interested in a trade. And I thought that was interesting in and of itself, John. Here's a guy who's 31 years old, and he's interested in a trade. He is making a fair amount of money right now, by the way. I mean, we're talking huge. He's getting $17.5 million a year right now, and his contract will jump up even more, somewhere closer to $36 million, John, a year for the final 2 years. I know why they want to trade him. They want to trade him because as good as he might be, the team itself is struggling. The quarterbacks aren't really there for him, and maybe they can get a lot of draft picks for him. That might actually happen because the NFL right now, everybody's in it for the receivers, and that's what they're all about. So this could be an interesting buildup for the Raiders if they do things right because, John, when you look at the top 10, just depends on what category you're looking for. What are the group of 10 that are going to be there? Is it yards per catch? It's this group. Is it, touchdowns? It's this group. Is it, targets? It's this group. Everybody's got a way of kind of shifting around a little bit. I would say Justin Jefferson is the best, and he probably is, but there's a heck of a lot of guys right on his toes, John, right behind him, just kind of waiting to pass him up if they can. So we'll see how that plays out. But I think this is a great opportunity for the Raiders. If indeed, does he go to the Jets? Because the Jets need something. They're close, John, but not all the way there. And that could be a trade, but that's a heck of a lot of money. Do the Jets really want to do that? They're already paying Rodgers enough money. Do they really go out and get this guy as their receiver? Maybe they do, but I think there's some opportunities out there for him. And whoever makes that trade, I think this will be good for the Raiders if they do it right.
You're right. I'd say Baltimore, the Bills, and the Jets would be the leading candidates, Pete. The Jets, because, where did he come from? Green Bay, right? I mean, didn't Davante, Pete, wasn't he playing with Rodgers already in Green Bay?
Best friends. And then they got rid of his quarterback, Derek Carr, who they were best friends from college at Fresno State. So, yeah, there's a lot of things that go into this whole thing. They don't need him down in New Orleans. They are loaded with wide receivers, and Derek Carr's having a great start to the year. So it'll be interesting to see who wants to pony up on that one, John. You talked about Cal. I'm going to go even a little bit farther with this Cal storyline. So Cal starts off the season. Now, they played a couple of cupcakes, but they also went to Auburn. They beat Auburn, and I think that was unexpected, but they're now in the ACC. Of course, it makes sense because they're on the west coast of the United States and they're in the Atlantic Coast Conference. But nonetheless, all that being said, they got a kid from the city of Miami named Fernando. And this kid has had an absolutely record-starting year for himself. He's doing really, really well with the Cal Bears. They've got a great running game. They've got a great receiver out there as well. Obviously, O-lineman and a pretty decent defense, John. They're going to play Miami. It would have been a game that would have been a game day game had they not lost to Florida State. Now, Florida State was 0-3. They started off terrible. Cal went toe-to-toe with them. Matter of fact, the quarterback threw for over 300 yards in that game. really had a great performance, but they lost. Florida State finally won. Let's not forget, Florida State was number 10 in the country when the year started. They are damn good. That's a really good football team. Unfortunately, they just haven't been able to put it together. They put it together enough to beat Cal. I'm going to go out on a limb and say this. Miami goes to Cal. It's a long flight. Maybe they have a little too much fun. It's California, of course, and everything else. I think the Cal Golden Bears have a great opportunity for an upset, John. I can't say positively, yes, this happens, but I'll tell you what, something in my gut tells me they've got all the different pieces. Can they stop the quarterback? I think they might have an opportunity. If they can turn the ball over, I think the Cal Golden Bears are going to be marching around out there, John, pretty damn excited at the end of the game. What about you? Do you think they have a chance?
They have a chance, and especially if people are listening to Pete on the betting side, I'd say if you're getting 11, Pete, because the spread was as high as 13.5 for a while. It's come down to 11. Well, when spreads come down, it's usually because you're getting too much money on one side or the other. So the spread either, widens out, tightens up, whatever, depending on which side is the dominant side. But if you can get 11 on this game, Pete, I agree with you. Could Miami win by 10 or more? Of course they could. But I like the odds that Cal would be playing to stay with them and perhaps even threaten to win. Because as you said, against Florida State, top 10 team at the beginning of the season, had a rough start, but they're a team that Cal could pretty much step on the field and play with every day, it looks like.
Yep.
So Miami, that might be the same. Let me leave you with this thought, though, Pete. Michigan, Washington. That's the rematch for the national championship, right? Guess what? Washington has won 17 straight home games going back to 2022. So I really kind of like that game, Pete, the way that one's shaping up. And I think they're two great teams, but you guys, your Gophers, pushed them right to the brink. And if they didn't have that bad offside call, who knows? They might have either beat them or sent it into another overtime.
Yeah, they played really well, the Golden Gophers, only in the second half. First half, they were sleepwalking. They were intimidated. Second half, they lit it up. They got into the game. They got the bad call on the onside that they recovered, and that's why they lost. I'll tell you, Michigan is not the same Michigan team. I would also say Washington's not the same Washington team. They lost their quarterback. They lost their best receiver, very much like Michigan. So are they down a little bit? Yes. Are they still damn good because they've got a heck of a lot of talent on either side of the ball on both of those schools? Absolutely. So this should be a really, really fun game, John. I look forward to this, the national championship rematch. That should be awesome.